In what can only be described as a highly uncharacteristic move, Reddit has decided to remove censorship features. In fact, not merely remove them from their own toolkit, but actively deny their use on their site by third-party software. Oh, okay. Pigs are soaring through the sky, as the world is flipped upside down, apparently. As hey, if Reddit themselves refuse to implement a series of censorship tools, that alone would be remarkable enough for the left-wing hug box that Reddit is, but for them to actively deny their users the ability to use other people's third-party software, even to the point of going to those developers and refusing them the ability to develop those tools? Ooh, okay. That is a strange step from Reddit. And obviously, many Redditors are already deeply upset about this draconian change in Reddit's apparent policy in favor of free speech. As Mirari here says, echo chambers are good, actually. Especially for minority groups and marginalized groups. And I will point out as well, of course, that Reddit also has rules specifically in favor of marginalized groups, as do far too many social media platforms, really. But we'll get back to that, the feedback, a little bit later. For now, what exactly is happening, and why is this worth talking about? Well, as they say in the TLDR on top here, on March 19th, third-party bots, so not even Reddit itself, specifically uSaferBot and uHiProtect, will be modified to remove features that automatically ban users solely based on their participation on other subreddits. One wonders what kind of subreddits might be most heavily affected by this. What kind of subreddits do we think are on these block lists? I do ever so much wonder. I imagine first and foremost it might have to do with the political position or religion, specifically of the Christian denomination, or even just simply the people you choose to follow. And this is not at all a new thing on Reddit. This has been the norm for years and years and years and years. Up until the point where, of course, well, I know this personally, because my name is actively banned on several Reddits. Not my participation, mind you. I can still pop by there. I am not banned, but if you mention my name, you will be banned. Thus, my highly enviable moniker of he who cannot be named, which I am quite proud of, frankly. So, this then is a bunch of other tools that have in the past allowed Redditors to download them that will automatically ban people who have at any point interacted on a subreddit of certain persuasions, they say down here. uSaferBot, the automatic ban feature will be removed. The developers will retain the bot account for future use. In other words, again, I want to stress this isn't even Reddit changing the rules, this is Reddit going above and beyond to force people to allow for access to their subreddits. Again, for the greatest left-wing hug box on the internet, that is a remarkable step. And uHiProtect, the automatic ban feature will be removed, but all other features will remain fully functional. You can still use it to remove content from users with NSFW links in their bios, watch users from specific subreddits to report or remove content but not preemptively ban, and educate users via custom comments and set up exemptions. So, I will point as well, this is not a ban on simply banning people from certain subreddits. They are merely removing the feature to do so automatically. But even that, again, that is actually a step forward for Reddit. At least this will create a lot of work for the moderators, right? Where they're now going to have to go through and manually ban all the people they don't like. And maybe some sort of a realization will pop up in their heads where they go, wow, I hate a lot of people. Could I be the problem? Unlikely, but you never know, could happen. And what have been the reactions to this? Well, Carpe Noctem, I moderate a range of NSFW communities and use this tool to remove users of misogynistic, violent, and degrading subreddits. Aha. So they don't harass our posters. You run non-safe for work Reddits, and by the way, the majority of these are complaints from people who run Reddits that are, one step away from being prostitution rings, basically, but details, and you wish to get rid of people who are misogynistic, violent, and degrading, whilst running a porn Reddit. Now, don't get me wrong, I am all for pornography. I see no problem with it. I believe it to be one of those things that the human condition seems pre-programmed to desire, but, you're gonna have a certain ideology attached to this, aren't you? Where certain forms of pornography is considered to be ideologically correct, whilst others is not. Yes. Another one here. I see this feature most often used to ban people who comment on far-right subs to prevent them from acting in normal subs, or subs that are about groups that the far-right target. This seems like a way for people with far-right ideologies to spread their hate to other places that either don't want to deal with it, are trying to get away from it, or to get a place that don't understand it and might think it's normal. I understand this has been abused or for stupid things recently, but why not punish those subs mods or those subs instead of taking away safety net for other users? So, you might be wondering, why would they do that? Why would the users of, say, Republican Reddit randomly decide, I'm going to venture off to the most left-wing Reddit I can find and try to convince them to be Republicans? Does that happen? Oh, no, not a whole lot, no. But this actually harkens back to a very old-school left-wing de facto conspiracy theory, where they allege that the far right was one big organized movement, just pretending to not be organized, and they were actively infiltrating left-wing and neutral spaces with the intent of radicalizing their users. Having been a member of both Gamergate and the online right wing for like a decade now, I can quite honestly say I have literally never seen a single solitary example of this. Not even anything that vaguely resembles this. In fact, if anything, the only time I've seen the right wing even attempt to reach out to the left has usually been to go, "You're idiots, and you're wrong on this, please allow me to explain," and then being shut down rather violently and viciously. This is something that doesn't happen, but it is a common myth on the left that the far right is doing all of this through some sort of organized movement of infiltrating their spaces, and apparently they have so little in the way of convictions in their beliefs that if one person arrives and goes, "Hey, did you know that the Browns aren't people?" they'll all fall over themselves to join his political movement. That's a worrying indictment against the left, but very well. At Miasol, there's a huge mistake. This opens our users up to a ton of harassment. We did not take autobans lightly, we provided messages and path about how to appeal, and we considered every single one. We walk back bans all the time. I feel so bad for the mods of the vulnerable subreddits. The vulnerable subreddits, rape, abortion, etc. There's a rape subreddit? You know what? If there's any subreddit that might need an auto-ban list, it might be the rape subreddit. For many, many, many reasons. I can understand that these tools are weaponized, but need to rein that in and penalize the moderators that are doing it maliciously. Don't remove Safer Bot. If anything, this will make us more aggressive about bans. This is a massive miss, and this is wrong. How could you be more aggressive about bans? Your bot is already automatically banning everyone, and then you, in your infinite wisdom and kindness, might then choose to go through the bans and undo some of them. You're already on full scorched earth. You've already built the walls of Babylon around you and said none may enter if you have the wrong opinion. And now you're threatening to ban harder? Interesting. And of course, the final one. Echo chambers are good, especially for minority groups and marginalized groups, because, well, you know, they need their special places. In the offline world, if a swimming pool has a woman's only Friday afternoon, then men do not have the automatic right to participate there. Aha! Well, that's where you're wrong, sir. Because you see, the left wing has introduced a whole host of beautiful legislation that makes it quite literally illegal to do that. Congratulations. And indeed, people are making entire careers out of suing such establishments these days, and making quite a lot of banks whilst doing so. See, here's the thing. Back in the day, we allowed for all of this. In fact, the ideal left-wing worldview of safe spaces was the 1950s and 60s, where you were allowed to make a club exclusively for a certain kind of person. Either there be men's clubs, for example, or women's fraternities. Places where you could gather a very select group of people, and you could indeed actively, deliberately exclude people from joining. You, however, said that that was discriminatory, and you championed against it. But you forgot to mention the silent part out loud, namely that you would like to deny these privileges specifically to straight, white men. You still expect to be allowed to partake in them because you're tyrants. If a gay bar bans straight hens night, then straight people do not have an automatic right to participate in that space either. En contraire. Online, a subreddit for teens should not have to open its doors to the majority of Reddit who are statistically in their 20s. Well, you know what? This is actually one argument that I kind of see. Yes, although, well, excuse me, left-wing person. Why are you always trying to hang out around the children? I don't trust you around teens. I see no reason to trust you around teens. And I do not trust you for a second to either, in the best case scenario, merely try to brainwash them. And in the worst case, well, that too is probably a criminal offense, and thankfully so in the majority of the civilized world. In all these cases, that is because the majority flooding that space means that a space meant for a minority can no longer be a space for a minority. It becomes yet another majority-dominated space. Wow. You know what? That is a fantastic point. What if, Reddit, you want to have a Reddit, a place for, I don't know, video games, for example, exclusively for your hobby, be it 40k, be it Star Wars, and you want to exclude all political thoughts from that Reddit. Could you do that? I sure wish we had, but it's too late now. We were told to open our doors for the sake of diversity, to throw open all barriers, that gatekeeping was the greatest evil imaginable, and that we had to let in hordes of people for any and all reasons and allow them to destroy our shit. Well, frankly, if it so happens that for some mysterious reasons every densians of our Republican decides to visit your teenage Reddit, I struggle to mobilize all that much in the way of sympathy. Honestly, it sounds as if what you're afraid of is that your walled garden will be invaded in the precise same way you invaded everybody else's walled fucking gardens. As at the end of the day, this comes back to the idea of gatekeeping, right? I've talked about this at length on many previous occasions, and one point that keeps repeating is that the left has never been in opposition to gatekeeping. Not at any point. If you go back to the oldest ideas of left-wing ideology on the internet, like 10, 12 years ago, you will see them argue vehemently that they should be allowed in their spaces and in your spaces, but you should never be allowed in theirs. I have yet to see a single leftist make even one argument against gatekeeping other than that you should not be allowed to do it. That is the only argument ever. I had an entire debate about this, like a year ago with a leftist. It was like, okay, here's the topic, is gatekeeping good? He admitted to that within 5 minutes, and then we went off deviating on other topics because the entire argument is, yes, gatekeeping is good, but only when we do it. You aren't allowed because I don't view you as a person. You are merely a right-winger, and therefore you possess no rights or privileges or any allowance to have your own spaces. Which is exactly why, again, this also harkens back to the idea that the Republicans will invade all of these Reddits and try to turn them right-wing. This is a fear born, again, as I mentioned, about the left-wing conspiracy theory that the right was doing this, and also because this has been the left's tactic every step of the way. But they don't need a centralized organization to indicate them to do this because it is baked into their very ideological core, namely that left good, everything not left bad. Or, as the famous Anita Sarkeesian said, everything is racist, everything is sexist, everything is homophobic, and you have to point it all out. And whenever you get called out on it, you fall back to your echo chambers. Now, what is the primary reason we have echo chambers for? Oh, that's right, circular radicalization, as you trap people into a small ecosphere, and then you continue to bounce the same affirmations off them. No, left good, left good, left good, right bad, right bad. Out there in the wilds, there are countless evil right-wingers, desperate to come in here and ruin our things. Again, as pointed out. And the only way to even begin to break open any of this, and okay, this is a big ask, to put it mildly, but the only way to at least begin to attempt to counteract the effects of echo chambers that we know scientifically will inevitably radicalize people, we are utterly aware of this. If you are surrounded only with people who echo your opinions back at you endlessly with an ever-increasing fervor, as we have seen on the left, and admittedly as well, also in right-wing circles, sure, then you will see radicalization. The only way out of that is to try to break open these echo chambers. And I can't believe I'm saying it, but Reddit is actually making a move in that direction. Again, this is actually a pretty big deal, in my opinion. Is it going to change anything overnight? Oh, fuck no. Is it going to change anything the next 5 years? Probably not. But Reddit, who was once an absolute untouchable bastion of left-wingism that was splendid with walled gardens, that you, like, if you even so much as typed in R. Asmongold, you would be banned from literally thousands of them. This is a crack in the Berlin Wall of woke. It might not be much, you might still not be able to see the sunlight at the other end, but it is something. It is the tiniest indicator that what Twitter has done, and again, you can criticize Elon Musk for many things, but him buying Twitter was an enormous step forward for societal discourse on the internet. There can be no doubt about it. It is at the moment the sole singular, relatively neutral platform out there, and its economic success thereafter, and its ability to attract more and more users, even as Reddit has been struggling for years. I absolutely believe that is a huge, if not indeed determining reason why things like this begin to happen. The other platforms are realizing that if we remain insular, we are only going to be able to rely upon the left-wing audience. And it has been demonstrated again and again through movies, through video games, through music, entertainment, comics, you name it. The left-wing audience never shows up. So, yeah, I genuinely believe this is cause for celebration right here. But if you think I'm being too optimistic, let me know in the comment section down below, I guess, as, again, it's a small crack, but a crack is a crack nevertheless, at least up until the moment it gets cemented shut in maybe, 2 years' time for now. We shall wait and see. Anyways, until next time, I've been Arch. Thank you all very much for watching, and I do hope to see you all again soon. Till then, have a good day.